All right, this meeting will now come to order. I will read the EPSB mission statement. The Educational Professional Standards Board, in full collaboration and cooperation with its education partners, promotes high levels of student achievement by establishing and enforcing rigorous professional standards for preparation, certification, and responsible and ethical behavior of all professional educators in Kentucky. Serving as board secretary is Ms. Sharon Chesser. Ms. Chesser, please call the roll.
Amanda Ellis.
Present.
Michael Yoder. Scotty Collar.
Scotty Collar present.
Elizabeth Dinkins.
Elizabeth Dinkins present.
Elijah Edwards. Kathy Gunn.
Kathy Gunn present.
Priscilla Keller.
Priscilla Keller present.
Jacqueline Mayfield. Lori McKean.
Lori McKim present.
Justin Mitchell.
Justin Mitchell present.
Corinne Murphy.
On? Not on.
It's
It
on.
is on? Okay. Corinne Murphy present.
Nicholas Pace. Meredith Pittman. Lisa Rosinski.
Present.
Vice Chair Fryer.
CJ Fryer present.
Chair Snell.
Amber Snell, present.
We have quorum.
Thank you so much. The Commissioner of Education, Dr. Robbie Fletcher, joins us this morning as Executive Secretary to the EPSB. I will now recognize Dr. Fletcher to give his report.
Thank you, Chair Snell. I appreciate that. And it's good to see everyone today. And of course, we're in the middle of the session. I think we're at the halfway point, believe it or not. We've been tracking over 200 bills, and it's hard to give an update as commissioner during this time without talking about a bill. But we also have Dr. Brian Perry, who will be giving an update a little bit later. So I will give one update as far as one bill that we're tracking. So there's several. Again, we're tracking over 200 bills that are education related. So, but one of the main bills that we've been observing outside of House Bill 500, which is the budget bill, of course, is the accountability bill. House Bill 257 is in the orders of the day for tomorrow. So very excited about that. Just to remind everyone, well, kind of let you know where we are in that bill. There has been some changes. Some have been positive. Some of the things that that have been taken out from the House perspective, I think due to cost. Again, that was some decisions by our representatives. But again, I think we're taking the right step. I really truly believe we're moving that step towards our moonshot. It's definitely not the moonshot, but it's on the way to. We want to make sure that we have an accountability system that is meaningful and useful for all learners throughout the state. So to let you know where we are now, the accountability bill still has two parts. And the two parts goes around. The first part is that state accountability that meets federal guidelines. And when you think about that, think about essentially the current system that we have now. What are the parts and pieces that make up the formula for the color coding classifications and also the CSI status? So the parts that are in there are very similar to what we have now with some changes, and no pun on words intended there, but one of the best parts about this bill is the move from change as one of the components to student growth. Again, we've talked several times. I truly feel like one of the best indicators of whether or not a school is being successful is, tell me, where did you get the child and where did you take the child? So the individual student growth is added will replace the change model, if you will, currently in House Bill 257. Also, too, some other parts that, and let me stop just for a second. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank our Cool Council and there's so many across the state that have been a part of this through our town halls. So that original bill that was introduced came from the work that we've done through 9 town halls, through the Cool Council, through so many surveys, through input from so many others. So again, we're moving towards that vision, with the very first step is moving to growth as opposed to change. Another part that we've heard from our Cool Council and so many across the state is we need to shorten the testing time. Our kids are tested. We truly believe at the department and also throughout the state that writing should be something that's done across the curriculum. So we've focused more with this bill on that the writing be assessed at the local level and be focused on writing across the curriculum. So on-demand writing, editing mechanics has been removed at this point. Now, the original bill actually had social studies and writing both moved to the local accountability model, but only on-demand writing and mechanics has been removed. Again, with the focus, not that writing's not important, the focus being that we want to look at policies at the local level to ensure that writing across the curriculum is going on. Math, science, social studies, and reading will still be a part of that CSI calculation and also part of that formula for identifying the red, orange, yellow, green, and blue schools. Another piece that we were hoping to remove was the color coding. Honestly, that was one of the big parts of this because we're not trying to do a competition among districts. We're trying to promote a collaboration. The color coding is still in the bill. That was something that's still part of this bill, although hopefully down the line that's something that we can lobby in years to come for that to be removed. Let's make sure that this model is being successful. These are things that we believe in, and in the future we'll come back and try to lobby for that moving forward, in my opinion. Some other parts in that state accountability piece that's there, that's a change. The climate and safety survey was removed. That was at the request of legislators, and that was replaced with chronic absenteeism. So if you recall, currently the climate and safety survey is 4% of that calculation. So it was removed, and in the conversations with legislators, and we've had, I can't tell you how many hours and meetings that I've had with legislators to get to the bill itself, but they removed that climate and safety survey, replaced it with chronic absenteeism. And just for those that may be watching, chronic absenteeism is when a student misses, they're designated as chronically absent if they miss 10% or more of the school time. That is excused or unexcused absences, either one. This is not truancy. Truancy it deals with unexcused absences. Chronic absenteeism, just are you missing more than 10% of the time? And the argument that was given by the legislators is 36 states have chronic absenteeism as part of their accountability model. So that was one of their rationale for wanting to add that. Again, that was something that was, in going through this process, that was added into that piece. Now, also too, some other things that will be able to happen moving forward is with our ELL population. We'll be looking at a 3-year onboarding process, if you will, for ELL students. So now, ELL students in the first year will be assessed, and that'll be the baseline for that student. The second year, their growth score would be a part of accountability. And then the third year, their growth and what we call now status or performance, all that would be a part of the accountability model. So that's something that we have to make that request through our state plan to the federal government to have it approved. But this growth model allows us to do that, or at least makes it easier to do that anyway. Now, that's just some pieces of that state accountability. Those are the major pieces and changes from the state accountability piece. And there's also the local accountability. We started off with actually using the language of local accountability. Now we're using the language of local indicators of quality. And the reason being, when talking with legislators, and they brought up a great point, when we talk with legislators, a lot of times people think of accountability as comparability. So, and that's not what this is about. The accountability, this is more about what does the local community value? What does the local community expect of us? Is that not only is it student achievement, it could also be student well-being. It could also be financial transparency. It could be a lot of different factors, but that should be determined by a local community to say, this is what we expect of our schools. This is the way we're going to identify growth. We're going to set goals, and we're going to grow together to make that happen. Now, in the original bill, the original proposal, if you will, the local accountability model was something that every district shall have a local accountability model within 4 years. That has been changed to a more of a trigger. So districts, if they opt into having local accountability, after we get to 60% of all districts to have local accountability, then all districts shall have a local accountability model within 2 years following. So very similar, if you'll think back when the dropout age was moved from 16 years old to 18 years old, there was trigger language there that was used. If the districts adopted a policy to move dropout age from 16 to 18, if over 50% of districts adopted it, then all districts, it would be the same for the entire state. So that was similar type language was used there. Also, too, and it's hard to say in the original version and other things because even House Bill 257 has had a committee sub. In the original House Bill 257, if a district adopted a local accountability model, again, this was not the original cool proposal. The original 257, and legislators actually made this suggestion. It wasn't my suggestion. I thanked them for it. Was could there be a financial incentive for districts to do local accountability? So that original incentive was $10,000 per district and $3 per student per year if you were to have adopt a local accountability model. That went through some discussions through various folks and and that came back to that would cost too much because when you deal with the House, it's funding. It's about funding. So they did include in there a $15,000 one-time payment for a district to offset that original cost. Now, for those of us who have gone through local accountability and that work, it does cost more, but again, $15,000 is more than what was in the original bill. So again, we're thankful for that. So again, something else to keep in mind, and these local indicators of quality are not a part of the formula for those color codings or for CSI. It's not a part of the formulas. Essentially, they run parallel to each other, but we believe that the local accountability model makes such a difference in districts, and that transparency, also that faith that our local community members have in us, and also, too, we've seen so many districts across the state that's already adopted this, and it's made such a difference in their culture that we believe that all districts should move to this model. So with that being said, we believe that local accountability should be included. And when you think about local accountability, please think about in its foundations being those portraits of a learner indicators, those indicators that we talk about with, for example, communication, collaboration, problem solving, critical thinking, and so many others that are across the state that have been identified. We truly believe that our kids are so much more than a test score. Yes, absolutely, reading and mathematics and foundational skills are tremendously important. It's still a part of the model. But we believe kids need to have those opportunities to have passion projects, project-based learning, defenses of learning, internships, apprenticeships. And if you think about that, that really defines a meaningful and useful educational system for our kids. So again, how do we move from those test scores to being the only piece to measuring what we really want from our kids for them to have grit and have that ability to collaborate with others around them? And that's what the local accountability model is really built on. So very excited about this. This is in the orders of the day tomorrow I'm sorry, today's Tuesday, isn't it? I lose track of time. I apologize. It is the session, so you can get lost in the days. But it is on for the orders of the day for today. We hope that moves on to the Senate, and we are thankful for the work that's there. The only thing I'll finish with is there are some pieces that are not in there that, for example, we talked about an adaptive model, adaptive assessments for reading and mathematics, and those were the assessments similar to what we do with MAP, STAR, iReady, that would also allow our state test to give grade level equivalency, because we really truly believe that our parents connect more with grade level equivalency. Again, proficiency is very important. Grade level standards, absolutely important. But also, too, with data that our parents can connect with as our students on grade level. But also, too, was the opt-in portion that would allow for the interim assessments. So in the original proposal, we would have an opt-in interim assessment that district could opt in to take that would replace their MAP, STAR, iReady, tests like that. So then again, if you think about that, that saves districts money because the state would pay for it. But also, too, that would eliminate another testing window. Currently, districts essentially have 4 major testing windows. You have your fall testing window for your interim assessment, for our district's interim assessments. You have your winter window, and you have your spring window. And then you have the state window. So if you opt into ours, the summative assessment would be that third test that would align with everything throughout. Unfortunately, that costs money, especially in those first 2 years to move from one assessment system to another. That is a funding issue. That was one of the reasons why House representatives felt like that needed to be removed. It was about funding. So those are two pieces, and among others, including the color coordinating that was been taken out of the original proposal. I say we wanted the color coding removed, but it was added back in, is the way I should say that. So that's a lot about 257. I want to take time to let everyone know where we are now and what you should see on the floor, hopefully, today. I'll take any questions.
I have a quick question, and I feel like I looked this up at one point, but it's been hard to keep up to date. Where we've taken out the climate, student survey piece, is there still going to be an avenue, even if it's not part of the accountability, rating score, whatever? Is there still an avenue for it to get feedback from students? I can't remember where that landed.
We would still have that survey out
Great,
there that
okay.
districts can apply. Now, it wouldn't be a part of the testing window. Like a
Okay.
district could take it whatever window they would like to give that information and still use that if they wanted to use it in their own local accountability model. And a lot of districts have their own surveys already, but we want to make sure that that tool is still there.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
If, I have a question.
Sure.
If House Bill 257 does pass, what is the anticipated timeframe for rollout of actual implementation?
We would, of course, this current testing window, we still are moving with the current KSA. We can't switch over now. We would look at assessments being for the 2027. So for the spring of 2027, we would look at the new assessments at that point.
Thank you.
I have a question not related to this, but I'd had a lot of my special educator friends who had reached out about concerns about the class sizes and the caseloads changing. And I think I had seen something that maybe was being adjusted or changed. Do you
Well,
have?
in that regulation, I think there was a lot of confusion about that. And I want to talk about the regulation. Now, I will say the regulation, we are in the process of pulling that regulation. So just so everyone knows, we have, just because of the confusion. But originally, if you look at how the cap size for special education works, there would be if you were going to be 1 over the cap size, you could do a waiver to basically to the special education OCL and the commissioner to have that waived. So we would automatically approve if a district submitted a waiver for 1 student over, we would automatically grant that waiver. If it was 2, we required a paraprofessional to also be in the classroom. So if those 2 stipulations were fulfilled, we would automatically grant the waiver. Now, so what happened was when House Bill 207 was put into place, it changed that waiver process to move it so that everything had to be approved by the board. Well, our board meets to do business every 2 months. So that puts districts at a disadvantage of having to, how do we handle that? We have to wait possibly 45 days or longer to incorporate that waiver. So that regulation was put in place to grant what we would have naturally granted automatically. But people felt like we were trying to increase cap size. So what we've done was we've actually pulled that regulation because there are some bills that have been introduced about cap size here. So in talking with our board chair and vice chair and also with people here at KDE, we've made the decision to pull and maybe work on that. Let's see what happens in throughout the legislative session, and then let's look at what we're going to do with that regulation if we need to move forward. So for now, it's been pulled, and let's see what shakes out in our legislative session. Thank you. You're welcome. Great question. Thank you for that. If there's no other questions, trying to use my wait time as a former teacher, then I will turn it over to, we're so happy to have from a report from the Kentucky Board of Education, our chair, Sharon Porter Robinson. If you please give us a report from KBE, and thank you for being with us.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much. It's always wonderful to join you, and I'm happy to report that the KBE is really intensely at work in this new year. In fact, we have added additional meeting time for the board so that we can spend time that is focused on board member learning and discussion of the various issues. We started this initiative in January, and that means that we too will be monthly this year, alternating between virtual meetings for the purpose of conducting our working sessions and the typical 2-day in-person meetings in Frankfurt, where we will devote that agenda entirely to board business. The topics for the first virtual meeting were requested by board members, and the agenda will follow as on demand from our members, the topics that help deepen our understanding of the various issues at hand. The first meeting was devoted to financial matters, including a deeper dive into the SEAT formula and on just generally school district financial issues. And that was a really intense discussion. And our next meeting will take a deeper dive into student achievement issues. In February, for our regular meeting, which also turned out to be virtual because of the weather, we started a really detailed conversation about student performance issues, spending all of our time looking at groups of students where we know we have achievement gaps and are not failing to make the progress that we want to see in student achievement. Now, this is given an overall improvement in various aspects of student achievement. Those student group issues cannot be lost in the gloss, if you will, of an overall performance improvement that we've seen. Board members discussed potential avenues to address achievement gaps and other issues, including promoting evidence-based practices and more collaboration with businesses and the community, advocating for more funding, and highlighting the importance of access to opportunities for our students. Let me assure you this conversation will continue in various ways as we drill down on these student group performance issues. At our February meeting, we also heard a report from the 2026 Kentucky Teacher of the Year, Michelle Gross, who we are cheering on as she interviews next month with the Council of Chief State School Officers as a finalist for the National Teacher of the Year Award. We're just so honored for Michelle, for our state, for her to be advanced to the finalist level and to represent the great Commonwealth in that regard. We too heard an update from our KDE Director of Government Relations, Brian Perry, and as the commissioner has indicated, this is an ongoing story, and updates are frequently daily as things develop in the process of getting House Bill 257 considered, and also with developments of the other 200 bills that we are monitoring. In other board business, we approved an amendment to 702 KAR 7065, the designation of an agent to manage middle and high school interscholastic athletics. We accepted the Kentucky High School Athletic Association's annual operations and management report and the annual report on Title IX reviews and deficiencies. We also approved an amendment regarding the minimum requirements for high school graduation this following passage of House Bill 342 back in 2025, which required the completion of at least one financial literacy program for students entering ninth grade on or before June 30, 2025, or the completion of a one credit course on financial literacy for students entering ninth grade after June 30, 2025. We heard a presentation regarding the department's strategic dashboard, which allows stakeholders to monitor KBE's progress toward department goals. And we awarded the 2025 Kevin C. Brown Strategic Priority Award to Bullitt County Public Schools. And we're looking forward to the KBE EPSB Research Practice Collaborative, which begins committee work at this meeting. And lastly, I want to just alert you and encourage you to encourage applications for the KBE student and teacher member positions. That application process is open until February 27, and applications can be found on the Kentucky Teacher website. Thank you so much for the opportunity to join you and offer that report. I would now pause for questions that you might have.
Any questions for Chair Robinson? Hearing none, I also want to take the opportunity to thank Chair Robinson and also our board. We went through several months of an ABR process, an additional budget request process, and our board prioritized 27 different budget requests to put forward to our General Assembly. So there's a lot of lobbying and a lot of work that's done through our board to try to get that funding put into the budget. For example, our very first ABR deals with increase in SEEK funding, all the way to CATS funding, and also from talking about our teacher recruitment and retention efforts and things of that nature too. So I do want to thank our board. That was a process, took about 7 or 8 months to get to the point to make sure that we had those ABRs over to our to the governor and also to the General Assembly to try to help fund education. Also, too, while Chair Robinson was speaking, I did receive notification. I want to thank our board counsel, Todd, technically our Office of Legal Services Associate Commissioner, Todd Allen. He also notified me that the amendment has been officially withdrawn. So just so there, the amendment we were talking about that caused some confusion has been withdrawn too. So again, thank you so much, Chair Robinson, for your report. Look forward to seeing you virtually. I think we have a virtual, wait a minute, which month are we in? We'll have another month coming up, a virtual meeting coming up soon. So thank you again, Chair Robinson.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson.
Thank you.
Next, I'll turn it over to Dr. Amanda Ellis with the Council on Post-Secondary Education for the report from CPE.
Thank you, Commissioner. So good to see everybody. Just a few updates. We recently released our fall 2025 post-secondary enrollment. We watched that very closely to make sure that we are moving in the right direction for Kentucky, not just sending people to school, but it's really to train and educate for our workforce. And so we are up 3.3% over the previous year for the total enrollment. Our undergraduate enrollment is up 4.6%, and dual enrollment is up 6.2%. And so we don't just look at that as enrollment and check it off. We are also monitoring very closely affordability. We look at affordability through tuition, time to completion, and then just the student needs, their living needs, and what that cost is. And so when we started looking at that, we are seeing that 6 out of 10 graduates from our public campuses are graduating with no debt. Some started with no debt, but we are increasing the number that are coming out with zero debt. And a big piece of that we're looking more deeply into is the credit earned in dual credit and their time to completion, or the ability to add a minor or a couple of minors or a double major. We have lots of student feedback letting us know the flexibility that they are given when they have that dual credit enrollment. So that's very exciting. And so when we look at that over the past 5 years, it's increased 49%. And that is a huge, it's huge. It's ginormous, and it's a huge appreciation to our campuses, public, private, 2-year and 4-year. It is not cheap. It is not free. And it is an effort for enrollment recruitment and really for students to be able to pursue advanced coursework and really see that they are worthy. They can do it. And so that partnership is essential between K-12 and higher education, as you all know. And so a big piece of that, we're really starting to look into the impact of dual credit on affordability to kind of dig into that a little more deeply. On that same vein of dual credit, there was a change in legislation last year for the dual credit scholarship that said that the courses that are paid for through the dual credit scholarship, this is for Gen Ed, not CTE, must be aligned to our CPE core student learning objectives. And that goes with our general education and transferability of those courses. And so KIA and CPE, obviously KIA runs the money and CPE has the policy. So we are working together along with the feedback from our advisory to prepare for that change. No one is losing their dual credit. No one is told that they can't take dual credit. But what we are doing is we are rolling into ensuring that KIA and CPE are good stewards of taxpayer dollars who pay into or the money that is given for the dual credit scholarship, specifically right now for general education. And so we will be hosting a webinar on the 25th with KIA for our higher ed folks, just to go through what those courses are and start to look at what is currently offered. The complaint we hear a lot, and you all may as well, depending on your role, is random acts of dual credit or things that are not transferable or things that end up as elective. And we want to make sure that we are being good stewards of those dollars, because in 2016, when the dual credit scholarship came about, it really opened the door for so many students and removed financial barriers for those students to be able to take advantage. And so far, our General Assembly has been very supportive. And as the commissioners mentioned in the budget bill, we know it's just the beginning of that. There's a lot of things that are of concern, but the one thing we're glad about in the vein of dual credit is they did keep in the budget language for general education classes in 8 CTE, which is really an opportunity for students. And so with that also comes great responsibility in advising. And so we are really honing in deeply on our post-secondary advising. That's anything after high school, starting in middle school and high school. We're working with KDE on the IOP and a meaningful process, not a compliance-driven document that everybody hates, but really opportunities and capacity building for our adults to work with those students, start to look at what's ahead, and see the possibilities. And that has to start early and often with career interest or things you're good at, just to figure it out. We know that ninth grade on track, when they transition into high school, they have to see that things are relevant, or you start to see more absenteeism and disengagement. And so all of this is super important to the future of our individual citizens, our future workforce, and collectively us as an education pipeline. All of us. And so that is something we've been working on. And so coming out this summer will be a scope and sequence from 6th grade all the way through 12th grade that is aligned with the college and career standards, the financial literacy standards at KDE. We are working very closely with Mickey Marinelli and with Beth Hargis and their staff. So this is not in isolation ever. It's always in partnership, working with KIA to make sure that there's advising and lesson planning and resources aligned to futurity for 6th through 12th grade. So if you have an advisory and you're a 7th grade teacher and you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this advisory, we will have materials for you. And so that is being developed as we speak with feedback and training opportunities. And then the last couple of things I just want to share is we did just celebrate the 1 year of futurity. On the 5th of February, we had ended up in year 1 with over 40,000 unique users. Really pleased with that. Got so much feedback and out of state as well. We're working with some marketing to really market towards our adults That is a different clientele and much more difficult because adulting is not fun and it is limiting. And so it takes a different approach to recruit adults back to finish what they started or to maybe pursue skilling up or doing something they've always wanted to do. And so we are working on our lifestyle calculator, and that is going to be based on the region of Kentucky. So depending on where you live, about how much it costs to live there. So when you're looking at careers that are available and you're looking at education, that you're also considering what it costs to live. And that's really for our younger students too, who tend to think that, big dollar amounts sound really good until you have to pay bills and have to figure out where to live and feed yourself and your family or significant others. And so that is coming. We already have the military MOSs aligned to the possible careers. And so that is very well received. And we have apprenticeships that are now on and aligned with the careers on Futurity. The next step is scholarships, and that is a beast, but we are working on it, and it's coming. So we are working along with several partners to improve and enhance. We're looking at AI options for advising pieces, obviously within the constraints and appropriateness of our state government and protection of students. So wouldn't be open, but it would help guide individuals to use it. The last thing just to share with you, as you know, I have not mentioned this session because the commissioner covered it very well. We are covering a lot of the bills as well and tracking those and meeting on those halfway through the session. Thankfully, that's a good thing. A long session is always tough and budget year is tough. And so we also have priorities that we are watching closely and hopeful to see some of those end up in the budget bill, as well as advocating on behalf of our campuses. And so it is busy, but work is still going on outside of that as well, as the commissioner had mentioned, and the things that are being discussed. So what is coming up is in March. We do have the Student Success Summit. It's March 23rd and 24th. This really focuses on being student-centered. We have a lot of folks that come. We have Miss Kentucky that's actually going to come and share her journey from being in foster care and how she was welcomed and what she needed on campuses to be successful, and a population of students we often don't talk enough about. And so we're going to be looking at different approaches and ways that we can be and continue to strengthen our ways that we are student-centered. I think our campuses have gone above and beyond to really be aware of this. It's very different than when I went to school, and the services and intentions that are offered are really incredible. And so that is coming up. And then we do have 2 webinars coming up for dual credit. We have 1 or 2 per month. And one is on CTE Part 2 of dual credit CTE, and that's coming up in this month, February, and I will get the dates. I did have those pulled up. I apologize. And then in March, it will be focused on military pathways and how those are affordability pathways as well, and different ways that you can still earn degrees and credentials, but still be a part of our military. And so we're going to have different folks speak about that, their lived experience, where they've ended up and how they have integrated both of those things in their lives. So I will stop there. There's so much more that we could share, but I know we have a full meeting.
Any questions for Dr. Ellis? If not, I do have 2 comments. First, I want to thank CPE for their focus on dual credit. And from a perspective as a former superintendent, as a principal, I had so many students that took dual credit and then were successful, and then thought, all of a sudden, college is a possibility for me. And so I think that as a recruiting tool, but also to fulfill dreams, that was so much for our kids. So thank you to our General Assembly for their priority, but also thank you to CPE, but also thank you to our universities, our colleges, our career technical system for the flexibility and the partnership that they're doing with our K-12, our school systems too. So a lot of work that goes from so many people, and thank you to all for a part of that. The other comment that I'll make is, the commissioner has a lot of advisory councils, but no offense to anyone else, but my favorite one is the Student Advisory Council. And their project is talking about the importance of the ILP, the Individualized Learning Plan. It was amazing to have those students that come in and talk about their perspective of what's going on in their districts when it comes to ILP and how it needs to be introduced and how important it was. And one of the things that was brought up was the making sure we're taking dual credit that pertains to us, that is meaningful. And that was a comment from our students. So again, from from our young leaders that are coming, that are already leaders.
Yes.
It's so refreshing to hear those type of conversations. And I look forward to their final presentation as we move forward too. So
As
thank you
well.
to Dr. Ellis.
My
Thank you so
pleasure.
much. Next, we have Dr. Meredith Brewer, who's our Associate Commissioner of the Office of Educator Licensure and Effectiveness, and she will be here to give us a report, and I'm sure at some point she'll say something about Diego.
That is correct. Well, good morning. As I typically start, I wanted to give you an update on our website. So if we go to the next slide, you'll notice when you visit the website on either a tablet or a laptop or desktop, that Diego now automatically pops up from the bottom right corner so that you can ask him questions. And so we'll speak here in a minute about some of the stats we have around that. If we go to the next slide, we always like to highlight our stats on access and engagement with our website. So we are sitting at over 1.5 million events, which is amazing, and 161,000 users on the website since its launch in early April of 25. We do like to point out that bounce rate. You'll notice that Find Your Path and our certification pages have the lowest bounce rates, and that does mean that we have people staying on those pages, engaging with the content found within. And that Find Your Path page in particular is where we direct people to when they are considering entering the teaching profession. So that is one of the indicators of success with our campaign. So we're excited about that. On the next slide, you will see there is Diego. He's very happy to report that we've had over 2,300 interactions since his launch and 1,400 unique conversations. The average turn, so the number of engagements with him, is 1.6. So that indicates that typically people are asking just a single question or two and getting a response. Overall, the few people who have taken time to give feedback, 80% have indicated their engagement with Diego was positive. And we had 11 people who said it was negative. So we're monitoring those responses to make sure that they are complete and helpful. The topics of interest are, as you would expect, around certification, rank change, and required testing and examinations. I do want to note that our certification team continues to be amazing, and they are turning around certification applications in less than a day, which I know I always do point out that that is unheard of. Other states talk about how many months it takes to process a certificate, and our team is doing an outstanding job turning around those certificates as quickly as possible. As Chair Robinson mentioned, we do want to celebrate that our Teacher of the Year is one of the finalists competing to be National Teacher of the Year. It's been decades since Kentucky has had a finalist at that level, so we're really excited about Michelle's opportunities that will be afforded to her as part of that process. So she will head to Washington in early March to go through that interview process. Also wanted to know, when we speak about amazing teachers, wanted to make sure you were aware that the impact survey did release in early February. We had over 40,000 certified educators complete that survey, which represents 84.7% of all certified educators in Kentucky. And you can find the results of that survey at impactky.org. Next slide. Wanted to take a moment to celebrate with Simmons College, one of our newest educator preparation providers in the state. They did successfully complete their accreditation with AQUEP and have been bestowed a 5-year initial accreditation. So we are very excited for Simmons College and thankful for our team here under Dr. Diebel's leadership supporting them in that really intensive process. And lastly, we are gearing up for our Educators Rising Conference. I know we've shared information with you about that event and hope you're able to join us. We are excited to report that we have our highest enrollment to date. Over 875 students have registered to attend, which represents a 5% increase over last year's registration. We do still need judges. So if you are able to, or any of your colleagues are interested in joining us on site on March 5th at the Expo Center in Louisville, we will put you to work. We need to have judges for all of those competitions that will take place during the day.
I'll further that a little bit. I think 30 is the official number I just got just a second ago. And we also need Spanish speakers for our Spanish competitions.
That is correct.
So it is a bucket filling day to be there as a judge. So anyone listening, anyone here, any of our board members, if you can be there, you will not regret it. And it would be appreciated by the students.
Absolutely. happy to entertain any questions at this time.
I was just going to add one other note when I should have interrupted you when you were talking about Diego. But at the last KBE meeting, when we shared our EPSB report, the non-voting teacher member on the board did share that he's played a lot with it, especially in different languages, and was very pleased with how effective it was. So I just thought that was really awesome feedback that I wanted to make sure it was public for us all.
So we are thankful to Google and the magic of technology behind the scenes. Obviously, we're not doing real-time translation, so we're able to utilize some outstanding platform support. And he said that he had tried it in 3 or 4 different languages and that the answers were accurate and appropriately translated. So that's wonderful. Yes, we love Diego. I especially love Diego. Any other questions?
I'll have a couple of comments. First of all, on Diego, we've been really enjoyed watching Diego grow, if you will, in the department. And 2, we've actually, depending on if this continued success, that maybe Diego may have a cousin someday or a brother. Now we can use that in our own website and as part of the KDE website. So again, success seems to be very high at this point, 80% success rate of just the folks that have interacted. So again, it's very exciting to see that. Also, too, I want to go back to the Educators Rising, and CJ, you're absolutely right. That is such a bucket-filling day. For a commissioner that's in his 30th year, I get fired up. But there's days that you walk in like, but if you go to this and come back, it will definitely fill your bucket for the next year at least. So if you're an educator and you remember the fire, you'll see that fire on that day with these kids and the hope and the belief and the trust that they have in their profession. So it's an awesome day. I really look forward to that coming up.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Dr. Brewer. We appreciate your time. Next, we have we'll call it our legislative liaison is what we'll call Dr. Perry. Actually, he and I think we both have a lean-to that we have over at the annex that we've been visiting. We should have a temporary office over there during this time, Dr. Perry especially. But again, I do want to thank Dr. Perry for all of his work and all of his carrying messages back and forth with our legislators. And he's going to spend some time today to talk about where we are and maybe some bills of interest for this group. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Perry.
Thank you, Commissioner. Go to the next slide, please. So just a quick reminder on the schedule. They were out Monday. They'll gavel in this afternoon. About 2 weeks to go before the filing deadlines for the chambers. So after those dates, they cannot introduce new legislation. However, they can file amendments. So keep that in mind. Last day, concurrence day is there at the end of March. And then they'll be out for veto days and come back for sine die on the 14th and 15th. So next slide, please. There's just the committee schedule in case you want to follow along. Obviously, this year, being a budget session, the Appropriation Revenue Committees at some point will start to meet. I saw that the Senate A&R is not going to meet tomorrow. So at some point, those will start to pick up. So pay attention to those. And then a general reminder is kind of the committees that we watch for various reasons. So next slide. And everything is streamed online, so either on the KET website or on the LRC YouTube website. You should be able to follow along virtually with any committee meeting. The schedule is usually correct until we get to the end of the session, and then there may be specially called sessions, so especially watch for those for the education-related committees and the A&R committees in mid to late March. All right, next slide. So when I was asked to give a legislative update, one thing I've been doing for the KBE updates is kind of matching up the legislative priorities that they passed back in the fall to what's actually happened. And so tried to match up some of the bills of interest for this group with your all's legislative priorities. And before we get started, I just want to say that we've had input on almost every bill on the list here. And that's a huge testament to the work that's been put in the interim. By the commissioner, by your chair and your co-chair, by the KBE chair and co-chair. It takes a lot of time to build those relationships, but I think I was thinking about it, I was looking over the list this morning, like we've been able to provide feedback on almost all of these bills, some before they were filed, which is amazing. So anyway, with that said, we'll jump in. You'll see that quite a few bills are related to misconduct. Not surprising, given some of the conversations that have been happening. Just saw a settlement pop up in the news yesterday, I believe, So not at all surprised that we've seen these. House Bill 4 was one that we worked on or got to review in the interim. It's a broad anti-grooming bill. It's not just focused on educators, but does include educators. That bill has moved over to the Senate already. And again, just as a reminder, the top 10 bills in each session or in each chamber are considered the high priority bills. So House Bill 4 is one of the top priorities for the House this term. So probably we'll see that get across the finish line and head to the governor for action. House Bill 102 is Chair Tipton's misconduct bill. I'm not sure what year we're on for this bill, but it's at least 3, I believe. If you'll remember back several sessions ago, a version of this bill actually got through both chambers, but got hung up in concurrence, so the chambers couldn't agree on a final version to send to the governor. So it hasn't really moved much since then. So we may see some pieces of this bill get added on to one of the other ones. I don't know if they're going to move all of these misconduct-related bills, so we may see some combining happen as we go through the session. Chair Tipton also introduced sort of a new version in 443. I don't think we've seen a version of this one. It really spells out some of the misconduct related to the sex crimes as it relates to educators. So kind of a new twist on that bill. Then 608 is a non-disclosure and confidentiality bill. That one's not yet been assigned to committee, but it's a fairly new bill, so we may see that yet get assigned to committee and gain some traction. And then I think you all will definitely be interested in Senate Bill 196. This got introduced just a few days ago. It defines grooming behavior very specifically and then also sets a 2-year cooling off period for any former students of the educator. Under mentoring and induction, we've had a lot of work on Senate Bill 4. So Chair West has really been talking about this through the interim with us and some other stakeholders. Right now, Senate Bill 4 is over in the House, and it is a 5-year principal induction program. So years 1 and 2, new principals would work with the department. Year 3 is kind of a gap year. Year 4 would be with Truist. And then year 5 would be a menu of options that the principal can choose from. So don't know if there's an appropriation tied to this yet, but I know Chair West has been working on that. I believe that our fiscal costs for our 2 years is about $2.5 million. So pretty significant cost associated with this. And I say that to say that right now there are several Senate priority bills that have pretty high price tags attached to them. So we'll have to kind of see how that all settles out and if everything gets funded at the levels that they're hoping for. Won't be surprised if we see this one in the House maybe get pared down from 5 years and then eventually have some sort of compromise. Don't know if it gets across the finish line at a full 5 years, but excited to see some version of this come back. This is my 5th session, and KTIP and KPIP have been conversations the entire time. So I think this is the closest we've seen to something really getting done as it relates to mentoring. So financial incentives, I wasn't sure if to put 22 under here or not, but I think it's related enough. So if you'll remember back a year ago, Senator Higdon introduced a bill that would have expanded dual credit access for students in the teaching and learning pathways. The problem was the fiscal note was enormous because it assumed that every student in the teaching and learning pathway would max out these new dual credit options. So over the interim, we met several times with Senator Higdon and other stakeholders to think about how we could make this work. Part of that conversation revolves around the Work Ready Scholarship. So a year and a half ago, the KWIB added education as a top 5 demand sector. In theory, that opens the door for the Work Ready Kentucky Scholarship to be used for education pathways. Kind of a mismatch because the Work Ready Scholarship was really intended for CTE pathways that have sub-associate credentials. So think nursing, where you can get a short-term certificate to get your foot in the door. We have a diploma at the LPN level, the RN's at an associate level. Can't really get into the classroom as a certified teacher without a bachelor's degree, and so that's a bit of a mismatch there. So what we settled on was this idea of looking at the registered apprenticeship programs in the state. So there's 3 currently. Nelson County is the one you may hear about the most. But thinking about those registered apprenticeship programs, in part because becoming a registered apprenticeship program involves working through Education and Labor Cabinet to get certified. That process involves checking with Dr. Brewer and her team to make sure that the apprenticeship program that's being proposed actually does lead to certification. So that's what we've settled on in 22. It would provide that students in these registered apprenticeship programs would be able to get an associate degree covered in high school through dual credit. And then they would transfer immediately into the partner EPP to finish out the bachelor's degree and get back into the classroom in a fairly short order. So right now it's a pretty small number of students that will be impacted because they're just the 3 programs, but perhaps some other districts will get inspired to start their own registered apprenticeship program. So in terms of elevating the profession, I wasn't sure that any of the bills currently out there really get to what this body was aiming for with that one. But under statutory cleanup, there's a few things to mention. So Senate Bill 121 is the department's cleanup bill. So there's a number of things in there right now. The one I think you're going to be most interested in is we have asked to replace KEPS with a statewide job portal using fees from certification. Right now, we're statutorily limited on how we can spend those dollars. And so we're asking for a very minor tweak that would let us replace KEPS, which is very outdated, with a much more modern kind of one-stop shop. It's an exciting option. Hopefully we will see that get done. We've been talking about it now for a year or so. We shopped it around kind of late in the session last time. Hopefully we'll get a lot more traction this time on that one. I know everybody in the state was anxiously awaiting some cleanup to Senate Bill 181 from last session. That's the electronic communications bill that didn't have a lot of conversation during the session and then got a lot of conversation during the interim. Senator Tensioner did file a cleanup. It's somewhat confusingly also Senate Bill 181. We think that bill currently now, it's in the House now, and we think it addresses almost all the concerns that we had and we talked about in the interim. Interestingly, the House filed 67 late last week. Very, very similar bill with some minor tweaks. Not sure if they'll move 67 or just amend 181. But if you haven't taken a look at 67, it does add a few different things, tweaks, one of which involves work-based learning, clarifying some language around that. So, and then House Bill 415, Representative Kleins has done some cleanup with House Bill 300 from last session, continuing to work on that. So those are kind of the bills that I thought were most related to your all's legislative priorities. Are there any questions about these bills? If not, I'll move on to just kind of some high-level ones. All right, next slide. So not all of these are going to be of interest to this board, but just wanted to point out that, as I mentioned, those top priorities for the chambers, you'll notice that Senate Bills 1 through 6 are all education bills. So this is the first time that I've seen this, where you have just literally the top 5, 6 bills in a chamber be all focused on one topic. I don't think any of these are going to be of any surprise to anybody in this room, all very much related to kind of things that have been happening. Senate Bill 1 looks at JCPS's governance structure. Senate Bill 2 looks to limit administrative raises to being no more than what the classroom teachers are getting in the district. Senate Bill 3, financial responsibility and transparency. So we've had some districts already do this as part of their local accountability. So Rockcastle County comes to mind. They have a page where their community asks for some financial transparency, and so that has been incorporated as part of their local model. But this would have it be done for everybody. There's Senate Bill 4 again. Senate Bill 5. A really good aim here is to get more fresh local produce and food into our schools. That is a much more difficult conversation than I realized until we started talking about that. But Senate Bill 5 is looking to kind of amend the procurement process to make that more of a possibility. And then Senate Bill 6 is a rather large request for the endowed research fund for the post-secondaries universities. And we'll move over to the House. Next slide. Just a few bills in the House that I wanted to mention. Again, a couple of top priorities for the Senate or the House that we've already mentioned. House Bill 88 is one that we haven't heard a lot of talk about that I thought we would have heard more about going into the session. So HR 1 from the summer, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, one of the things included in there were scholarship tax credits. So states can opt in and set up a system whereby you can make donations to a scholarship granting organization. And I think it offsets your federal tax bill like up to $1,700 per person or $3,400 per couple. This got filed very early and hasn't really done much yet. So I'm not sure if we will hear more about that. I thought going into the session, this would be something we would have probably talked about already. House Bill 307, Chair Tipton is looking at a proactive admissions process for post-secondary institutions. I think the program that kind of inspired this was the Georgia Match program. So you may want to take a look at that. That's kind of the idea that students would be notified of being proactively admitted to our post-secondary partners. So we are working on that bill with our friends at CPE and Chair Tipton. Senate Bill 416 will be of interest to you all. So Representative Kleins wanted to remove barriers to get into EPPs. So looking at initial undergraduate admission and removing testing requirements, but changing, not really removing them so much as changing them to be formative, and kind of hoping that the institutions would then use those results to kind of guide the instruction for that student to hopefully make them more successful in the program. And then on the back end, narrowly tailoring the content assessments to what the teachers will be, to what the candidate will be teaching. So kind of the idea that we don't have early elementary teachers getting tested on physics, things like that. So then House Bill 500 is our budget bill. Then 562 is another one we've been talking about lately. It's an alternative high school diploma bill. Addressing some things there. But our big concern with that one, and I think we've addressed it, is making sure that it is a usable credential, right? And a credential that for those students really does make an impact in terms of helping them get into the workforce. So there's been a big push to talk to our workforce partners to make sure that that's something that they would recognize and that would actually be of value to the students and their families. I think that's it. With that, I'll be happy to take any questions. Oh, and I just wanted to mention the conversation about class sizes. House Bill 621 got filed by Representative Bojanowski, has a number of bipartisan co-sponsors, has not yet been assigned, but I would suspect that it will be.
I've heard quite a bit of information, I think, and I don't know the bill number, but I think it's Senator Reed, about the school board.
Yes, there's a couple.
Yep.
There's several school board bills out there. So Senate Bill 151 or 152 are the ones you're thinking of. So
Are we
But
thinking that's gonna make it anywhere?
I would imagine the commissioner and I will have more to say on that later in the week. So
Fair enough.
we have a meeting with the sponsors to discuss those and 196.
Senate Bill 152 has made it out of committee, and that is the bill, and again, Dr. Perry and I have talked about this, that would change the school-based decision-making council to a school council, advisory council, essentially.
Yes.
So there were some changes there. That has made it out of committee. Senate Bill 151, actually, where the statute changed last year for a tenured teacher to have their summative evaluation every 5 years. And, a immediate supervisor could have additional summative evaluations in that 5-year period. The language that was changed would also allow the superintendent to make that request. There's also one other piece in Senate Bill 151. Again, this hasn't been in committee yet, so it's very preliminary, would be to have all certified evaluations reported to the local Board of Education. So that's another piece that's in language there too. So keep that on your radar as you move forward. But again, Senate Bill 152 would take a lot of the decision-making authority from the school councils and essentially make them an advisory council. Now, please keep in mind, folks, that there has been some changes with the school-based council over the years. For example, technically, that when a teacher is hired, it's with consultation with the school-based decision-making committee. It's not the committee doesn't necessarily vote on who's hired and who's not. Also, when it comes to hiring a principal, it was changed from, once upon a time, the superintendent was one vote of 6 to hire the next principal, and that was changed in statute to be, that essentially be a consultation process to hire the principal. So the committee would give could give recommendations, consult, but then the superintendent would decide. So there has been some changes already over the years as it relates to school-based decision-making.
There are several other board bills out there too, just as an FYI. So Senate Bill 114 looks to change the makeup of JCPS and Fayette County boards from being elected to appointed, and also expand the number of seats on those boards. Senator Tensioner introduced a bill just within the past few days that would have the department recommend board size, right, based on enrollment. So that's been something that's been discussed. So should every district have the same size boards, or should there be sort of a floor and a ceiling? House Bill 469 would have candidates do a background check as part of the filing process. So that's one we've been talking about. I'm trying to think if there's any others off the top of my head. there's a lot of bills. So, yeah. But everything's still pretty early in the process. There are, I don't know, maybe a dozen bills in each chamber that we've been kind of following that have moved over into the other chamber, but still a fairly small amount of movement. And everything is getting amended in committee subs, just about. So.
You go first,
You go
Lisa.
ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
please. You go.
Is there any discussion at this point regarding the recent weather that we've had in so many districts being at the end of their 10 NTI days and taking?
There's two bills. So there's a kind of a broad bill that would allow for districts to amend calendars as long as they get their 1062 in. That one's just been introduced. We haven't had a lot of conversations about that yet, but I suspect we will. That was introduced by Representative Truitt, and then Representative Dossett introduced a bill to add some additional NTI days. And I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, sorry. But I'll be happy to look them up real quick.
This isn't so much a question as just a statement that I feel like I need to put out there. When we think about what our board is charged with and what's like core to our values, right? It is elevating the profession. It is recruiting and retaining the best of the best in the profession. I think it's worth saying out loud that there is some alarm right now. I know we're in the early stages, of course, but there's panic. I mean, I'm just going to put it lightly. There's panic among the profession right now about the early bare bones draft of the budget, right, and potential impacts to, healthcare premiums and all that stuff. And I just feel like I know that we got a long way to go. And Dr. Perry, to your point, I do think it's important to put out there that we are very fortunate for the positive relationships we built. And I have faith that we will come out of this at the right point. But I do want to say for the current high schooler who's maybe sitting in my intro to education class and thinking about pursuing this field, and then they see all this news, right? Or for someone who's getting toward the end of the school year and thinking about whether to renew their contract or leave the profession, whatever the dust settles, this is still not good for elevating the profession. And I think it's worth it to say out loud that that's concerning from my position on this board. And I'm hopeful that our legislature can do the right thing for the profession.
And to add to that, when we're talking about healthcare, that impacts all state employees.
Correct.
So again, that portion of the bill is concerning not only for educators, but also for all state employees. So that is of high importance. Thank you for pointing that out, CJ.
So House Bill 631 is the additional NTI days, and House Bill 635 is the calendar bill.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Dr. Perry? Dr. Perry, again, we'll be traveling here shortly. We do have another 2 meetings today, as a matter of fact, so I'll be here for a short period of time, but thank you, Dr. Perry, for what you're doing. We appreciate your work. Also, too, appreciate keeping the commissioner on schedule when meeting with legislators, too.
For including us. As CJ
Thank
and
you.
I have been very honored to join you in those meetings and those conversations. So thank you for including us as well.
As that is the report from the commissioner, and thank you to everyone for their input. And again, just want to say that it takes a team as we move through the legislative session, but also team with legislators. We do have so many legislators that are talking with us, working with us, and again, most of the time I walk into thinking that we all want to get to the same end, but the way that we get there may be a little bit different. Now, there are things that we strongly oppose, without a doubt. But there are a lot of great work going on with our legislators, and there are some things that we strongly want to support also too. So we're so thankful for the relationships. And again, thank you to Chair Snell and also Vice Chair Fryer for the work that they do. And at this time, I'll turn it back over to Chair Snell.
Thank you, Dr. Fletcher. Ms. Chesser, has anyone signed up for open speak? Okay. It is time for our annual EPSB Chair and Vice Chair election. Per KRS 1610282F, a member is eligible to serve 3 consecutive one-year terms as chair. This was my first one-year term as chair. Among other responsibilities, the chair conducts board meetings, encourages full participation, and collaborates with the leadership in direction and leadership for the board. I will now open the floor for nominations for the office of Chair of the Educational Professional Standards Board. Is there a nomination for chair?
I nominate Amber Snell for chair.
Thank you, Captain Rosinski. I have been nominated for chair. Are there any further nominations? Bueller? No? Okay. All right. Hearing none, the nominations are now closed. Is there a motion to approve the slate and elect Amber Snell as chair of the EPSB? Thank you, Dr. Murphy. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lori. The motion before the board is for Amber Snell to serve as chair. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. You are stuck with me another year. The vice chair of the EPSB is responsible for carrying out the duties of the chair in his or her absence and assisting the chair as necessary. CJ Fryer has served in that position for the past year. And is there a nomination for vice chair?
I nominate CJ Fryer.
Thank you, Ms. Keller. The nomination for vice chair is CJ Fryer. Are there any further nominations? Hearing none, the nominations are now closed. Is there a motion to approve the slate and elect CJ Fryer as vice chair of the EPSB? So moved. Thank you, Dr. Murphy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Captain Rosinski. The motion before the board is for CJ Fryer to continue to serve as vice chair. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. You are stuck with both of us for the next year. All right, to highlight the amazing work that is taking place in the educator preparation at our Kentucky colleges and university, we want to continue to the EPP Spotlight. So today, Dr. Jenny Fair from Northern Kentucky University joins us to share some of the work taking place at Northern Kentucky University. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Fair.
And the whole team. Come on, they want
Come on,
to.
we
They
got
want
a
to
whole
come.
table, guys. Welcome to the party.
Thank you. While I may be the spokesperson, I think it's important that you see that this is nothing runs without collaboration and an amazing team. And this is the executive team at NKU's College of Education. So I voluntold them to join me today. Thank you, Chair Snell and fellow soccer mom. I hope Rose is having a great first year in college.
is.
Fantastic. Thank you for the opportunity to share what good things are happening at NKU's College of Education. So with me today I have Dr. Ginger Blackwell, who is our Associate Dean, Dr. Eileen Shanahan, who is our Chair of the Department of Teacher Preparation and Educational Studies. All of our undergraduate programs reside in her department. And then Dr. Jim Allen, who is the Chair of the Department of Educational Leadership and Advanced Studies. Next slide, please. So I really wanted to organize my thoughts with you, my sharing with you around our NORSUP kind of theme at NKU. And so you can see in the background some of our College of Ed students doing a North-Up kind of frame here. But some of the things that I want to share with you that distinguishes NKU as a College of Education are around these categories. We're going to show you how we Norse up, going to show you some Norse by the numbers, how Norse lead, how Norse demonstrate success, and Norse forward. So we're going to maintain that Norse up theme. I really should have brought, I told CJ this morning, I should have brought pom-poms, and I am a former cheerleader, and so, I'm all about the championing what we are doing in the College of Education at Northern Kentucky University. Next slide, please. So let's start with a couple of ways that we Norse up in the College of Education. One of those is that we are very strategically committed to thinking through intentionally what we want to accomplish in the region and why we want to accomplish that in the region. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we've done recently within the last few years is update our mission and vision. We did that with a stakeholder input from our teachers, our staff, our students, our stakeholders in the area, and really our mission does promote what we want to do, which is to create exceptional, adaptable educators and leaders who are going to make dynamic differences in their communities. Next slide, please. We also, Commissioner Fletcher, I was interested to hear you talk about that portrait of a learner this morning. We took our cue from the Kentucky Department of Education. Our districts around us are creating their portraits of a learner and portraits of a graduate, and we thought, you know what? If we are going to be preparing teachers, educators, and leaders for our districts, we want to model that as well, and we want to be intentional about the skill set that our graduates are leaving our college with. So we prepare educators and leaders at the undergraduate level through bachelor's degrees, master's, specialist, and doctoral programs. So we really wanted to capture in all of those areas what are the transferable skills that make them successful. And again, this was a community effort. This was Dr. Jim Allen led a lot of this work for us, but we started with brainstorming what it is that our graduates do. We talked with I have 2 student advisory boards at the undergraduate and graduate levels. We got their input. We talked with our advisory councils about what they see and what they see as needed and demonstrated skills for successful educators and leaders. And this took us a year, didn't it, Jim, to really refine and hone. And we had, like 60 demonstrators at one point. We are currently in the phase of looking at these skills and competencies and aligning those with our across. Whoa. Again, cheerleader, rah rah. We're aligning these across our curriculum and across our assessment so that when we're pulling our assessment data for those CAPE standards, we also can pull for things that demonstrate that we have global citizens as educators and leaders. We are very excited about that work, and so we wanted to share that with you, and it aligns nicely, Commissioner Fletcher, with what you were talking about. So that's how we Norse up at NKU. Next slide, please. Some numbers that I thought you might be interested in. First of all, some of our demographic data, which are based really on our academic year 24-25. It takes universities a little while to clean those data and to make sure that everything is really reflected accurately. But I wanted to highlight, this obviously is an exhaustive list of all the data that we have, but some of the data points that I thought were interesting really had to do with the students who we serve. We have 49% first-gen students in our undergraduate programs. 53% of them are low income. That says something because these degrees that they're earning are not just changing their own professional trajectory. This is life-changing. This is generational impact. And so we are very proud of our working with these students and families and, frankly, their communities. Across our programs, we have about 14% minority status. Quite frankly, we'd like for that to be a little stronger. We have done some specific work in recruitment and around minority students and faculty, and it's hard work. It's worth it work. Mm-hmm. So we have some work to do there, but I wanted to pull that out to show you. One thing that I wanted to show you, too, was our percentage of adult learners. Now, this does include our graduate programs. But we have seen a specific increase in our undergraduate programs, and in just a few minutes I'm going to tell you why. But we really do so much of what universities do. If you work in an EPP, you know this to be true. Admissions, support services really are geared toward a traditional learner. Our population in College of Education is not always a traditional learner, and that takes some intentionality, and it takes some adaptability and flexibility, and so we are really proud to serve adult learners. 19% of our College of Ed students are second majors. So at NKU, students choose, if they're secondary students particularly, they have 2 majors, and it depends on what major they choose first as to how the data are gathered. So some of these numbers don't include that population of students because of the way that the data, university gathers data on first major so that they don't duplicate numbers and so on. So we do have about 19% of our students with second majors. We have seen a decline in our interest in secondary education teaching. We're concerned about that, but we have seen a decline in secondary. And of course, we're always looking to increase our STEM support. New retention record for College of Education. Our undergraduates, we retained 91% of those to NKU, and 84% of those were retained to the College of Education. If you are not in higher ed spaces, you may not know what an impressive number that is. I'll just tell you, that's an impressive number. Our transfer students, we had 92% retained to NKU and 90% retained to College of Education. We are taking care of our students. They're taking courses for sure, but we also, with our unique populations of students, we're really taking good care of them so that they feel supported and successful. Which leads me to my comment about the increase in adult learners. In 21-22, 13% of our undergrads were adult learners. Now we have 22% of our undergrads as adult learners. Part of that has to do with our Pathway for Paraeducators program, which I'll tell you a little bit about in just a minute. Next slide, please. The program options are included for you there. I won't read through all of those. Just suffice it to say, if you want to be an educator, we can help get you there. We have our partnerships are pretty impressive too. Let me read you some of these numbers. We have 68 different district partnerships, 797 school partnerships or agreements, 3 different states. We serve Kentucky. We also have partnerships in Ohio and Indiana. Our partnerships are not just clinical and field sites. They certainly are. The vast majority are those things. But we have partnerships for grants. We have partnerships for services. We've got some Option 9 Pathway for Paraeducators partnerships. We have some research partners. We have some embedded sites where our students actually complete part of their program in classrooms on site in a middle or elementary or high school classroom. So our partnerships are really, really important to what we do. We also are, because we have such a high number of first-gen and low-income students, we are very serious about scholarships and seeking scholarships and endowments on behalf of our students. We have 22 endowed scholarships, over $72,000 awarded this academic year. For our paraeducators, we have awarded over $115,000 and over $12,000 in praxis support costs. And I'll tell you, those 2 numbers come from grants that this team has gone after to gather support specifically for that group of learners. So that's some Norse by the numbers. Next slide, please. How do we lead at NKU? I would say we lead by listening, quite frankly. We take our responsibility as a regional mover very intentionally. So, for example, we've hosted a Safe Schools Institute in connection with the Kentucky Center for School Safety. We've hosted a couple of state institutes where we've had students who have been affected by gun violence at their schools. We've talked about social media and the impact on safety that has. So these Safe Schools Institutes have really been at the request of some of our partners asking, what can we do? What's new on the horizon? I'm interested to see this new bill about the security things that school staff can wear. So this Safe Schools Institute, we feel like, has addressed a timely and relevant issue. And again, we listened to what the questions were and what our partners needed. I mentioned our embedded elementary, middle, and secondary partnerships. It's really interesting where our students can go and they can have a class, for example, in Tishner Middle School in Erlanger Ellesmere District. They go to school at Tishner, they have a classroom that's their NKU classroom, they talk about something, they go see it, experience it, impact it, come back and debrief, and our students tell us that that is absolutely so powerful because they get to see the ins and outs of what happens between class. They get to form relationships with the teachers on site. Tishner specifically has hired 13 of our students in the last few years. Tishner likes us being there too. So we have partnerships in elementary, middle, and secondary. We have updated our advisory councils in some interesting ways. So each of our programs have advisory teams that help impact the curriculum and the assessments for those particular programs. But what we have noticed as a college is that really, yes, we serve districts and schools, but we also serve the entire region. And so we have included, I'm building a dean's advisory group right now that includes Chamber of Commerce representatives. It includes business leaders and innovators so that we can think more entrepreneurially. I have to say that slowly because I can't say it otherwise. But we're also interested in them being ambassadors for education. So yes, we want to learn from them, but we also want them to be champions in their spheres of influence. So we have adjusted our advisory council accordingly. We've had a really good partnership with the Kentucky Education Workforce Development. As a matter of fact, Eileen, that's where we've gotten some money for our paraeducators from that particular group. One thing that we've done recently is we have given students, I'll say an opportunity, although it is a requirement, for them to give some poster presentations at the end of their student teaching semester. But what we've done recently is invite superintendents and human resources folks to come to those poster presentations. Our superintendents are walking away with resumes that our students have prepared and are interviewing on the spot, are offering jobs on the spot. And so that has been really cool to see for our students and for those superintendents or human resources folks. We've added some new tracks to some of the things that we have offered. We've added a new special education in our master's degree. We have some self-paced endorsements now that don't follow a traditional higher ed pacing or timeline, which has been, we're interested in how that's going to play out. We also have a supported higher education project, which is a program which allows students with significant special needs, when they graduate from high school, when they leave their high school experience, they can have a college experience that is supported. They can live on campus. I've had in classes that I've taught, I've had a couple of students. They come with mentors. They participate in ways that are appropriate for them. And we had one that was a cheerleader that participated on the cheerleading team with her mentor. It's just a really excellent way as a transition for these students and their families. And then they receive a certificate when they finish that program. It's a really nice way to help continue the opportunity for students who may not otherwise have it. We have developed some pipeline programs. Our superintendents and principals tell us we need quality teachers, but we need to build them along the way. So we have our Pathway for Paraeducators program. We're going to be graduating our first cohort of 13 this May. I'll tell you a little bit more about them in a second, but that is really impactful in our region. We also have an Educators Rising regional conference now. Dr. Eileen Shanahan has led that work, and CJ has certainly been instrumental in helping us build connections in our region. We have had over 300 students the last couple of years attend that from, goodness, I don't even know how many districts and schools. It's a bunch from our region, from Fayette County, from Jefferson County, and we've actually even been able to sponsor a couple of those clubs to go to the national competition. We sent some kids from Beechwood, and we sent some kids from Ignite last year. So we really are feeding into their experience. We held a think tank one summer for high school leaders who were interested in building Educators Rising clubs in their high schools. Again, CJ helped us with that. But we're really not just hosting events, we're trying to build capacity and interest and pipelines across our region. So we feel like we're really leading in that regard. Next slide. Norse are successful. They demonstrate academic success, whether it's from our right at 100% pass rates in the PLT, whether it's our 100% pass rate for special education, 100% pass rate for principals. We're 20% above the state average in middle school English, for example. Our graduation rates are strong. Our time to degree is short. Again, if you're in higher ed circles, you know that time to degree is really measured in 6-year increments. That's kind of the, if students finish in 6 years, that accounts for part-time, or that accounts for time out, gap time, things like that. Our undergraduate program finish rate is right at 4 years. We're very proud of that. Our alumni success is we have alumnus who is sitting on the Kentucky Board of Education. We have alumni who sit on the local boards of education. We have Miss Kentucky. Miss Kentucky is a College of Ed graduate. We have leaders. We have movers and shakers. We have superintendents all throughout our region. We've got a superintendent in Colorado who's one of our graduates. And even more importantly, we have everyday principals, everyday teachers who are making impact in their classroom. We are really, really proud of our alumni. Our regional stewardship, we take our responsibility as a comprehensive university very seriously. We have a Mayerson project where we work at a local behavior school, and the students who work there take their grant money from the Mayerson project and feed it back into their supplies and their programs. We have an AI and education space that we are now occupying. One of our faculty members is doing a lot of AI and education support and training in our region. And we have our Ed Rising, we have cohorts. Jim has done a great job with building some cohorts specifically at the secondary level. We have, for example, Boone County has over 80 languages spoken in their school district. So we work with them with cohorts of teachers to go through our EL training so that they are equipped and ready and empowered. Our CTE pathways for teaching and learning, we continue to build relationships through that. We are very invested in regional stewardship. Our accreditation success, we passed CAPE. We may have done some happy dancing. There are no videos of that, but we may have done some happy dancing, thanks largely to the leadership of Dr. Ginger Blackwell, and certainly with the support of Dr. Diebel and Dr. Brewer. So that was not an easy process, but we learned, as we're supposed to, we learned a lot about ourselves. And so we finished our CAPE accreditation with 0 AFIs and 0 stipulations. So we're really proud of our accreditation success. Next slide, please. Norse Forward. So what's next for us? Well, we launched a few years ago the Pathway for Peer Educators program. We didn't call it Option 9 because nobody knows what Option 9 means. And it kind of gives a sense that there are all these other options that either aren't working or aren't valued. So we have renamed it Pathway for Paraeducators. And so what we decided to do with our Pathway for Paraeducators program is pretty unique. We decided that we did not want it to be a fully online experience. I understand that some do, and that's fine. That's not what we wanted. It's not what our superintendents wanted. So we have moved these students through this program as a cohort. Our first cohort of 13 is graduating in May, and we started them in the summer, and what we committed to them to do was to ensure that they had a face-to-face experience at least one a week every semester. So their experience was, they still had some online experiences because they're working full-time as paraeducators, but at least once a week they were with their cohort and an instructor and some support. And I tell you, every time I talk to one of them, I just about cry because they are so, I've got chill bumps now, they are so committed. And as I said, we're getting ready to feed 13 of them back into our districts. Eileen Shanahan has led most of this work. As you can imagine, every single student has a different story. They have different needs. And this is our third cohort that's just started this past summer. We have elementary education, we have IECE, and we have special education now as options for our Pathway for Paraeducators. You can see our participating Kentucky districts. We've also had some interest from other states who don't have an option 9, but they like the way that we're preparing paraeducators for a teaching degree. So we've had an interesting way to lead and to move forward with that. Next slide, please. So we really see that what we do at NKU, which is the picture there on the left, what we do at NKU feeds into classrooms and into learners and into educators and into leaders, and that in turn really impacts the community. You see a nice view of Covington there. One of the ways that we are working forward is not just looking at curriculum, that's important, not just looking at clinicals, that's important, but we really see ourselves as part of the ecosystem of the region. And what we do impacts and is impacted by what happens in the region. Because of that, I want to list for you some of the partners that we have that are outside of the traditional 4 walls of higher education, and indicate to you on the horizon, these are conversations and groups with whom we're having these conversations. The One NK Alliance in Northern Kentucky, the Breakthrough Collaborative, the community colleges, and specifically Ivy Tech and Gateway, Educate NKY, River City School Summer Camps, Northern Kentucky Council for Educational Services, Northern Kentucky Education Council, Horizon Foundation, Hale Foundation, Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce. These are, within the last, 3 months, we've had conversations or are working on initiatives with every single one of these partners that are either nonprofits or other organizations outside of the College of Education, because we believe that NKU impacts people to impact communities. We are really, really proud of that. Next slide, please. That is why when we talk about the College of Education and we NORSUP, we believe very intently that NKU is the place for education. Happy to entertain any questions or thoughts.
Your NORSUP for me.
With your students.
Yep.
Yeah, in the background.
A lot of my favorite people in that picture right there. So, I'll go first. And I know I'm biased, of course, this being my hometown area, but we are just so fortunate, definitely in our area, but throughout the Commonwealth, to have all the amazing things NKU is doing. We know that we have incredible EPPs, Western, Bellarmine, all the other colleges we've heard from recently. But obviously, growing up in the backyard of NKU my whole life, it's just so neat now, 40 years into my life, to see what an impact it really does make on the entire region. And you cannot ask for a better leadership team than the 4 people right here. So Jenny, I'm glad you brought the whole team up. So just thank you. I don't want to put you on the spot. You might not have these numbers, but with, Cassie likes to joke with me about Northern Kentucky being its own little, beast up there sometimes. It is interesting for me to think about, of course, being really proud of our Commonwealth, right, and trying to support the entire state. Any data we have potentially about how many of our graduating students are staying in Kentucky versus, we're minutes from downtown Cincinnati, not far from Indiana. And of course, we talk about the concerns we have about in this Commonwealth elevating the profession and different incentives. So I don't know if that's data you have, or we could come back to it, but that'd be an interesting question for me to think about.
Yeah, sure. So we have our graduating class in May, 90% were hired almost before the end of the school year. 80% plus were in Northern Kentucky region.
Great. That makes me very happy to hear. If you do start to hear feedback where that number ever changes, will you definitely let us know?
That number is actually pretty consistent across the university.
Great. Thanks, Jenny.
Yeah.
I'll make one other comment before you go. First of all, thank you. We're molding the future with our teachers, and it starts with our EPPs. So the work that you're doing to invest in our students and our kids, our future teachers, our leaders, we really appreciate that so much. I do want to make one comment about in particular, what you're doing with the paraprofessionals. I've seen paraprofessionals, and one comes to mind, as a matter of fact, that went from as a paraprofessional and was doing a great job as an aide in a classroom, was learning so much, and then wanted to be a teacher and decided to go through a paraeducator program, and then became a special education teacher, one of the best special education teachers that we had in Lawrence County. So again, her work and dedication was phenomenal, and I think that sometimes when we give those paraprofessionals an opportunity to live their dream, it's so important. So thank you for that work in particular, but thank you for all the work that you do as we move forward. So thank you so much.
Thank you. We already have a couple of our graduating paraprofessionals, and we're supervising them this spring. We all have a student teacher, but we anticipate that we've got at least 2 or 3 principals to be in this group. They're already talking about it, and they have enjoyed their experience at NKU. They have enjoyed their cohort of students that they've been working with. That has been, I can't tell you how powerful that has been. I mean, we have held nights on campus where we take care of their kids while they're in class. We feed their kids while they're in class. We're trying to take care of them as humans, and so we're really proud of what they're doing, and we're proud of their growth as individuals. It's really been exciting. Thank you, Commissioner Fletcher.
I have a question. You mentioned briefly career and technical education and teachers for that. Do you currently, or have you explored the option of offering the CTE Principal Certification Program at Northern Kentucky University?
I would need a little bit more information about that. But yes, interested for sure.
It's not offered in very many places, and while there are lots of traditional pathways for classically trained educators to become building leaders, career and technical educators who enter the profession through the occupation-based certification route, do have an opportunity to become CTE principals, and it is offered less and less. And what I am seeing, and I just want to put it on your radar, what I'm seeing is more and more in our career and technical education programs, classically trained educators are becoming building administrators, and there are less and less opportunities for those CTE professionals who are educators in the CTE space to become CTE principals. Many universities are not offering that as an option anymore, and I was just curious what Northern Kentucky was doing.
We
right
do
now
not
on that.
currently, but we will certainly investigate.
Thank you.
Thank you. We actually were just talking with our co-op partners just a week ago about how we could partner on some of the work that they're doing to support aspiring leaders, and how we could collaborate and make that a seamless experience, course credit experience. The 5-year mentorship program we were talking about, what are the implications of that? So we are interested in rigor, and we're interested in competency, and so we're also interested in meeting educators where they are to get them where they want to be.
Thank you.
Thank you all so very much.
I will add one thing. As somebody who has just started working toward their doctorate through NKU, I appreciate
Fantastic.
you all greatly. So,
Well, we look forward to
You've got a great candidate.
giving, that's right.
yes, I've appreciated all the help. It has been, everything has been, when I submit work, it's graded, there's feedback, it's what you want to model for our students in our classroom, and that's what we're getting even at the, at the doctoral level. So.
Fantastic. That's a nice thing to take back to your faculty. Appreciate the opportunity. Next time I will
Thank
bring
you all.
pom-poms.
All right. I think the last thing that I have before we move to consent items is something I'm not terribly excited to share, but that is that we will be losing our, I don't even know exactly what her title is except extraordinaire. I have a couple of things I've tried to list about Cassie Trueblood. So she has been with the department that I know of since 2010. She has survived numerous executive orders, numerous executive leadership changes, several board reorganizations, location changes from Airport Road to Zoom during a pandemic that I know at some point I was in North Carolina while we handled meetings, to Sauer Road. She is a voice of reason for all of us. I think one of the best ways I could describe her is a KR education law savant. Like, she just knows it, and it just comes out so quickly and easily. She will be truly, truly missed. And I begrudgingly wish her very well in her new adventure. So we do have a small commemorative token of our appreciation. If I could not drop it and break it. So we we wanted to make sure that you remembered us and that you have always made every second count. So, there you I was like, what's missing in my script is anything about Cassie, guys. She didn't put that in the script.
I knew it was time for a bathroom break.
I would have got you anyways.
But no, thank you very much. That was very, very kind of you. I'm not always great with the recognition and taking that appropriately. I can always interest you in a sarcastic comment. But again, thank you very much. This has been an honor to work with this board, to work with all of you and with our staff. The work that you do matters, and it was great to come out of law school and do something that I felt was truly important, that I felt that we were making a difference, and I can still feel that way. And I just wish you all the best, and thank you for everything.
So now returning to our regularly scheduled programming. We will now move to consent items. Items A through L are listed on the agenda as consent items. I'll give the members a moment to review that list. Does anyone wish to remove any of the items from the consent agenda for further discussion? Having received no requests to remove items from the consent agenda, can I have a motion to approve consent items A through P?
I make the motion to approve consent items A through, is it P or L? L.
Sorry, okay, just,
You were just asking to make sure.
You're paying attention, you passed. Thank you for that, Mr. Fryer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. The motion before the board is to approve consent items A through L. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. The board is now ready to review action items. This item is presented to the board for action and will require a motion and a vote. Action item A is presented by Ms. Cassie Trueblood.
Thank you. So action item A is your updated meeting schedule. This would be for the next school year, starting with your meetings in July. It is very similar to the current schedule that you have. We did do a little shuffling in January. Instead of hitting you with a virtual meeting that first Monday, we gave you a break, and we'll push that to the second week. And then in March, based on some feedback from this board and a request, we are looking to add, instead of having a virtual meeting that first week, making that an in-person meeting so that you can have that align with the Educators Rising Conference to allow you to participate in that. So this is included in your agenda book. If you are using the full PDF, it starts on page 56 with the actual schedule on 58. If there are any questions, I am happy to take those. If not, we would recommend that you approve the meeting schedule so that this can be posted and you can start reserving those dates.
Thank you. Is there a motion? I move to approve. Thank you, Dr. Murphy. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Ms. Keller. The motion before the board is to approve action item A. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. The board is now ready to review waiver request. KRS 1610281N provides that the board has the authority to waive its administrative regulations when a request is submitted by an applicant for certification, a post-secondary institution, or a superintendent of a local school district. When requesting a waiver, the requesting party must submit to the board a written request along with the appropriate justification for the waiver. EPSB staff reviewed the waivers with EPSB's waiver committee during an open meeting immediately prior to this meeting, and the waiver committee formulated recommendations. Sharon Salzman will present the waiver request to the board, and waiver committee chair Kathy Gunn will present the committee's recommendations for final action, starting with waiver A presented by Sharon Salzman.
So this waiver was submitted by Franklin County Schools on behalf of Rosalie Rogers. She is a certified elementary teacher. They are requesting to extend her certification to allow her to teach sixth grade language arts. Their sixth grade is housed in the middle school, so that's why they are requesting this waiver. She has taught sixth grade language arts for the past 2 years under an emergency, so the district has provided her with specialized training, and they are requesting that the EPSB waive the grade range for elementary to allow Ms. Rogers to teach sixth grade.
Thank you. Ms. Gunn, did the waiver committee make a recommendation?
Yes, we did. The waiver committee reviewed the waiver request submitted by Franklin County Schools. Exceptional circumstances justifying the waiver. Therefore, the committee recommends that we grant the waiver.
Thank you so much. I do need a motion.
Make a motion to approve waiver A.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Ellis. The motion before the board is to approve waiver A. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Waiver A passes. Next, we have waiver B.
So this is submitted on behalf of Career and Technical Education on behalf of Frank Martin. He's a carpentry teacher. They state he has demonstrated a vast knowledge and experience in the carpentry trade. He has designed homes and a dental practice addition, has years of experience from multiple generations in the carpentry trade. He has the technical construction knowledge and experience required to teach carpentry. He was the unanimous choice from the interview committee, and he has current years of experience working with multiple types of prints that will be beneficial when designing the tiny houses that the school builds. So OCT is requesting that EPSB waive the recency requirement for Mr. Martin and issue the 1-year provisional.
Thank you so much. Ms. Gunn, did the waiver committee have a recommendation?
Yes, the waiver committee reviewed the waiver request submitted by Office of Career and Technical Education, and the committee recommends that EPSB grant waiver B.
Thank you so much. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve waiver B.
Thank you, Captain Rosinski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lori. The motion before the board is to approve waiver B. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Waiver B is approved. Moving to waiver C.
So this one is also from the Office of Career and Technical Education for Michael Geddes, a fire science teacher. They state this is a unique program and his skills and expertise are a valuable addition to the success of the students. There are several reasons for not fulfilling his credit hours, and that was a lack of available classes. He was informed he should work on a master's degree, so he enrolled and took 4 classes, but then his district reviewed his credentials and informed him he did not need a master's degree. So they reviewed his transcripts and verified that he met all the requirements for the associate's degree. The only classes needed are the fire science courses, but these are during the workday, and he is still employed with the fire department and has been able to keep his EMT and firefighter certifications current. So OCTE is requesting that the EPSB waive the requirement of 6 credit hours for Mr. Geddes and issue the 1-year provisional. And we did have some conversations in the room, so I did check with OCTE. He does have 12 hours from the University of the Cumberlands. He has a BA in economics, and he has 56 hours from Jefferson Community and Technical College. So he just needs to send his transcripts to wherever he plans on doing his content degree.
Ms. Gunn, what is the waiver committee's recommendation?
The waiver committee found exceptional circumstances justifying the waiver. Therefore, the committee recommends that EPSB grant waiver C.
Thank you so much. I need a motion.
I make the motion to grant waiver C.
Thank you, Dr. Dinkins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Ellis. The motion before the board is to approve waiver C. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Waiver C is approved. Next, we have waiver D.
So this is from Franklin County Schools. They have been unsuccessful in finding qualified teachers for secondary math. This candidate is currently certified in health and physical education. This position has been vacant since September of 2025. They have attended various recruiting fairs, and the position remains an active posting. So this district is requesting that the EPSB waive the number of years an emergency certificate can be offered and issue a third.
Ms. Gunn, did the waiver committee make a recommendation?
Yes, the waiver committee recommends that EPSB grant waiver D.
Thank you. I need a motion.
Make a motion to approve waiver D.
Thank you, Captain Rosinski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lori. The motion before the board is to approve waiver D. Is there any discussion?
Ms. Gunn, could you just share a little more about just the thoughts on that you all had this morning?
For
What are we on? Sorry, waiver.
Waiver D.
D?
Sorry.
Physical education to math certification.
It was just what she presented. There was not
Yeah.
a lot of discussion on that one because it was for an emergency certification and he already had one certification and they were unable to find
Yeah.
anyone to fill the position. We did ask about the praxis, I believe. Was that the one we asked about the
So
praxis?
this one, I made a note on here that we need to let them know that they need to enroll in a program. So
Yes. I like the note. Okay, great.
Because there again, there are options.
Yes.
Thank you, friends.
The motion before the board is to approve waiver D. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Waiver D is approved. Waiver E is up next.
So this is a candidate requesting a waiver of the out-of-state GPA requirement for chemistry. She attended an out-of-state university that retroactively failed a class that she had passed, which changed her GPA and delayed her graduation. She made the decision to move to another state where she completed student teaching, subbed for a year, and then taught middle school science. She then moved to Kentucky with 1 year of experience. She has taken and passed the chemistry praxis and the PLT. She states she does not have the financial ability to take more classes, so the candidate requests the EPSB waive the out-of-state GPA requirement and issue her the full 5-year Kentucky certificate.
Ms. Gunn, did the waiver committee make a recommendation?
Yes, the waiver committee reviewed the waiver request submitted by the applicant. The committee found exceptional circumstances justifying the waiver. Therefore, the committee recommends that EPSB grant the waiver.
Thank you, Ms. Gunn. I do need a motion.
I make a motion to grant.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you, Mr. Fryer. The motion before the board is to approve the waiver. Is there any discussion?
Will you clarify the retroactive course thing? I wasn't sure I understood that.
So she stated that, so she said she opted to enact a GPA waiver form with the college because she felt the best course of action after fighting 2 years with the registrar to handle the fact that they retroactively failed a class I had passed, changing the GPA and delaying the graduation. She decided I did not trust them to help me in other ways as they had failed me several times by that point, so she went with the final option, and she had beyond wasting more time at a college that seemed to battle me at every turn, so she left for another state.
Okay.
So Elizabeth, as a fellow
Yeah.
MVP person, yes, it sounds very wacky and weird. Beyond that, though, she has a 2.69, and in other circumstances, it would have been rounded to a 2.7, and that's how, after much discussion this morning, people were like, Corinne, here it is. And I was like, okay. And so that's how we got to making the recommendation in support of the waiver and not getting caught up in the whatever happened retroactively. That just sounds awful for all.
I appreciate the insight of the GPA. Is it, because I was just like, dude, is this, like, are we looking at a 1.7? What are we looking at? Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm glad you asked. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank
Fran.
you.
One away. It was the Murphy's Law rule, and I was like,
Yeah,
okay.
okay.
And with the 1 year out-of-state experience, had she stayed one more year, then that wouldn't have mattered either. So she was just on the fence all over the place.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. And waiver E, I think it was, my page lost, passes. We have 9 alternative route certification applications. These applicants are pursuing the option 1 exceptional work experience route certification. This is one of the alternative routes established by the legislature in KRS 161048. An applicant with exceptional work experience must have a bachelor's or graduate degree meeting minimum GPA requirements and an academic major or a passing score on the academic content assessment in the area in which certification is being sought. The board will need to determine if the applicant's work experience constitutes exceptional work experience. The applications are presented by Sharon Salzman.
So first, I want to introduce you all to Kaylin Rothaker. She is one of our certification specialists who actually handles option 1. And so in the near future, she will be presenting these to you all instead of me.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So I told her you all weren't scary, so this is pretty easy. So for this first one, this is for Heather Burns, and this is for theater only, which is primary through grade 12. She has over 20 years of experience, including being a theater education director and coordinator and outreach director, touring actor and director, teaching and directing productions at the high, middle, and elementary school levels. She has project leadership, teaching, creative and collaborative content development and arts education, theatrical director, experience working with all ages, collaborating with a team, organizing agendas, serving as a liaison between various groups, and performing. She does have a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in theater.
Thank you. At this time, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Captain Rosinski. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Gunn. The motion before the board is to approve application A. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. And application A is approved. Next is application B.
So this is for Elizabeth Nelson, and this again is for theater only, primary through grade 12. She has over 10 years of experience in theater. She has been an adjunct professor of theater, comedic performer, comedic producer, radical hospitality coordinator at Actors Theater of Louisville, associate director of community engagement and belongings at Speed Art Museum. She has teaching introduction to theater, developing curriculum, monitoring and evaluating student progress, designing, implementing, and evaluating outreach programs, serving as a liaison between staff, artists, and the community, and teaching various workshops and theater programs. She has a Bachelor of Science degree in English Literature and a Master's of Arts degree in ensemble-based physical theater.
Thank you so much. Is there a motion? Thank you, Dr. Murphy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Dinkins. The motion before the board is a motion to approve application B. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Application B is approved. Now, application C.
This is for Alan Glasgow for art, all grades. Has over 15 years of experience, including being a graphic designer, senior applications developer, and communications coordinator. They have developed creative design for print materials, brochures, banners, and signs, Adobe Creative Suite, creating artwork for product packaging, promotional materials, managing software development, creating logos, illustrations, typography, creating motion graphics and video content for websites, and collaboration with leaders. He has a Bachelor of Arts degree in visual communication design.
Thank you so much. At this time, I will need a motion.
I make the motion to approve C.
Thank you, Dr. Dinkins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. The motion before the board is to approve application C. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Application C is approved. Application D.
So this is for Rachel Hazley. This is for journalism, grades 8 through 12. She has over 13 years of experience in freelance writing, video editing, producing, where she wrote, edited, and produced multimedia content for clients across a variety of industries, conducted research, interviews, developed scripts, storyboards, and video content, and collaborated with various teams. She has experience in journalism and nonfiction writing, research and fact-checking, project management, cinematography, video production, editing, and copying editing. She has a Bachelor of Science degree in journalism.
Thank you so much. Is there a motion? Thank you, Dr. Murphy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lori. The motion before the board is to approve application D. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Application D is approved. Application E is up next.
So this is for Trevor Stewart. This is for journalism, grades 8 through 12. Has over 10 years of experience, including being a communication specialist at Texas A&M University, a senior writer at the University of California, communications manager for the Foundation for California Community Colleges, content manager, senior writer for Meta, communications adjunct professor at Midway University, international communications and content manager for Gray Construction. They also have content marketing, content creation, copywriting, project management, editorial planning, storytelling, creating and distribution of executive messaging, streamlining content production process, conducting in-depth interviews, collaborating with various teams, develop content strategy, and writer. They have a Bachelor of Arts in Journalism and a Master's of Science in Sports Administration.
Thank you. At this time, I will need a motion.
Make a motion to approve letter E.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Ellis. The motion before the board is to approve application E. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Application E is approved. Next up, we have application F.
This is for Danica Isdahl, and this is for English grades 5 through 9 and also grades 8 through 12. She has over 10 years of experience, including being the owner, lead designer, and project manager of DI Designs, managing editor, production manager, and publishing assistant. Skills include project management, copywriting, editing and proofreading, graphic design, Adobe Creative Suite, designing book covers, organizing teams and resources, composing and negotiating contracts, managing a budget, and creating reports. She has a Bachelor of Arts degree in English.
Thank you so much. At this time, I will need a motion.
I make the motion to not approve this one.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to not approve application F from Dr. Dinkins and seconded by Captain Rosinski. Is there any discussion?
No, I feel the same way. Can you describe what the design, the design, I don't know, it was a company that says designs, what that company actually does?
DI Designs?
Yes.
Okay. So it says they were the lead designer and project manager. They designed book covers, full jackets, interior typesets for independent presses, consulted with independent presses on best design and print best practices, optimize author communications and production protocols, and organize teams, resources, and timelines for printing projects.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So there's no reading pedagogy, and the idea that you would teach middle and high school English and not understand reading from a foundational position of of comprehension, much less really developmental reading, is problematic to say the least. And we have a Read to Succeed Act. While it really is talking about K through 3 reading, there is no middle or high school classroom in the state where we have kids reading all on grade level in the public school system. So let's not go there. Yeah. She needs, go to an MAT program. Learn reading.
Okay. The motion before the board is to deny application F. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Application F is denied. Next up is application G.
So this is for Jason Morgan, and this is for Business and Marketing Education, grades 5 through 12. Has over 30 years of experience in the business arena, teaching middle school computer science, intro to business and technology, digital citizenship, and career explorations. President of Helios Technologies, Senior Director of International Tax of Assyrian, Senior Director of International Tax Mergers and Acquisitions with Walmart, International Tax Advisor with Caterpillar, Chief Financial Officer with Akaima Pharmaceuticals, Tax and Cash Manager with Dollar General Stores, and Staff Accountant with Van Buren and Company. He has been teaching middle school students, PBIS mentor, operations management, being a trusted business advisor, developing and executing I'll buy a vowel one time today. Strategic initiatives and collaborating with various teams. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration.
Thank you. At this time, I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. Do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Ms. Keller. The motion before the board is to approve application G. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Application G is approved. Next up, we have application H.
So this is for Michael Purvis. This is for chemistry, grades 8 through 12. Has over 30 years of experience, including being a part-time chemistry instructor at Catawba County Community College, advanced scientist and associate manager of Product Technology Lab, technology manager at various labs, and research development director at Monument Chemical LLC. He has technology development, evaluating process and safety concepts to optimize productivity and efficiency, collaboration with various teams, managing and reviewing project portfolios, and being leader of various groups within different labs. He has a Bachelor of Science degree in chemistry and a Doctor of Philosophy in organic chemistry.
Thank you so much. At this time, I need a motion.
I make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Captain Rosinski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fryer. The motion before the board is to approve application H. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Application H is approved. Last but not least, application I.
So this one is for Stephanie Troutman. This is for chemistry, grades 8 through 12. Experience includes being a level 2 chemist at Pace Analytic, a chemist, product testing department manager, and extraction laboratory manager at McCoy & McCoy Laboratory. She was an analytical chemist with more than a decade of professional laboratory experience. She has experience in analytical science and leadership roles as a mentor and trainer to fellow scientists. So she has skills with staff training, mentoring, laboratory safety management, data interpretation, use of advanced chemical instrumentation, analysis of matter, mixtures, and chemical reactions, development of standard operating procedures, in-depth research, and collaboration with various teams. And she holds a Bachelor of Science degree in chemistry.
All right, at this time, I will need a motion. Thank you, Dr. Murphy. Do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Ms. Keller. The motion before the board is to approve application I. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Application I is approved. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I will-
Chair, can I make a request? So as we move forward, and I think we've talked about it before, but is there a way that you all could capture for us whether the work that folks are purporting is full-time or not? I think we get a lot of applications with consultant, and consultant could be one time a month. It could be, very intensive. So I think there's a difference, and it would be helpful to us.
Sure.
If we could. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Other than that, thank you for
Great
looking at
suggestion.
a gazillion things, but
Yes.
yes,
For
you're
sure.
welcome.
You are welcome.
All right, I will now open the floor to any board member for board comments. Does anyone have anything they wish to share?
Me again. Sorry.
Hi, I'm the problem. It's me.
Hi. Yes, I'm the problem.
Always.
No, actually, I just wanted to say thank you to Amber and CJ for a successful first year as chairs, and thank you for continuing to move forward into the second year. So that's not a problem. Thank you.
I'll say we appreciate the trust. And I think we feel close as a board, but obviously if there are ever concerns about things that are happening, like I hope that everyone would continue to come to us. So thank you for the trust.
Two things. One, I'm just gonna say
Yeah.
thank you, Cassie.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say, but appreciate it. She's been the bulwark of our EPSB for years, and I know people can always be replaced, but I think it's going to be a big step to be replaced and replace her. So, and then number two, CJ has a documentary he wants to just let everybody know about. So.
Absolutely, we do. Yes.
I feel like there's
yes.
a
It's a
snarky
perfect
remark here.
timing.
Dr. Mitchell's really excited about the idea of a math documentary, but oh gosh, now you got me not on the date.
It's
Monday,
the 9th,
March 9th.
March 9th.
In Lexington, the Kentucky Council of Teachers of Mathematics is hosting a free screening to the public. You do got to register. We only have capacity for 625 people, but it's the documentary Counted Out. It's actually, yes, if you're a math teacher, of course you're going to like it, but it's actually designed for people with math trauma or just seeing how math has, right? So now Lori's like, you're invited, yeah. But we're really excited to get people there. So if you're in the Lexington area specifically, it's right at the conclusion of day one of the KCM conference. KCM's been a great partner for KCTM. So it's at the Lexington Marriott Griffin. You can go online, the Kentucky Council of Teachers of Mathematics website to register. And since I have the floor, thanks, Justin. I know Cass is like, everyone shut up. But I do just again, from day one of my initial appointment to this board, through this transition of year one of the leadership side of things, Cassie really has been the glue that has made this board as effective as it is. I know that she is constantly a text away for everyone, and we take advantage of that to probably an unhealthy degree. Cassie, I know you said it, that you were excited to have a role that, you felt like coming out of law school, like really made an impact, but truly it just needs to be said again, despite not being, a typical, educator pathway person, you single-handedly have had an immense impact on the state of education and the teacher workforce in the state of Kentucky, and that will never be forgotten. And I'm just really, really thankful for you. So thanks, Cassie.
I have nothing else. I said most of it last night.
Ditto.
I get choked up,
Ditto.
so Anything else? All right. Look, it even says anyone else. Perfect. At this time, I believe we are ready to go into closed session pursuant to KRS 61810(1)C and J to conduct a character and fitness review, to review potential actions relating to complaints and reports. The board will also review pending litigation. At this time, I need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Ellis. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Dr. Murphy. The motion before the board is a motion to go into closed session. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. We are now ready to move into closed session. Let's do that. Take about a 10-minute break. The clock is not back on the wall, so be back in here by 11:30, and we'll roll through cases. All right. There you go.
Thank you all.
All
Thanks
right.
again.
At this time, I need a motion to go into open session. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. There's a motion to go into open session. Do I have a second? Or all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Listen, helps when you have the right page. We are now back in open session. We will vote on those items discussed during closed session. So for character and fitness cases, number 1 and 2, approve. Number 3, approve with conditions. Number 4, approve. Number 5, approve with conditions. Substitute character and fitness. Number 1, deny. Number 2 and 3, approve. Number 4, deny. Number 5, 6, and 7, approve. 8, deny. 9, 10, and 11, approve. On the agreed orders, we accept orders 1 through 7. reject Order 8, and accept Orders 9, 10, and 11. On the motions to reconsider, we deny both motions to reconsider for cases 1 and 2. And on the educator cases, cases 1 through 3, further investigations. 4 and 5, approve the PRC agreed order. 6, further investigation. 7, approve the PRC agreed order. 8 and 9, further investigation. 10, approve the PRC agreed order. 11 through 14, further investigation. 15, dismiss with prejudice. 16 through 18, further investigation. 19 and 20, admonish. 21, 22, further investigation. 23, dismiss with prejudice. 24, dismiss without prejudice. 25, dismiss with prejudice. 26, dismiss without prejudice.
CJ Fryer, yes to all.
Lisa Rosinski, yes to all.
Scotty Collier, recuse myself for agreed order number 11. Recuse myself from motion to consider number 1. Recuse myself from educator case 13. Yes to all others.
Lori McKinn, yes to all.
Priscilla Keller, yes to all.
Amanda Ellis, yes to all.
Elizabeth Dinkins, yes to all.
Kathy Gunn, yes to all.
Justin Mitchell, yes to all.
Ember Snell, yes to all. At this time, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Deakins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Ellis. The motion before the board is a motion to adjourn. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. We are now adjourned.